Hello and welcome to podcast. I'm your host Joey Simcoe. Real original name for real original content.
Jimmy Skidmore. Oh.
And today on podcast we're talking about the school system. Bum, bum, bum. You good, Jimmy?
Yeah. Ever since I played football in high school, my left rotator cuff pops sometimes.
Odd, because you stopped playing football in high school.
Yeah, sophomore
And
year.
odd enough, we're talking about high school. Let's talk about that.
Okay. High school.
No. High school sports. Let's start off with that.
Okay, high school sports. I think high school sports are kind of an anomaly. And I'll tell you why. It's because they're not really because college sports you don't get paid.
Yeah.
You get scholarships and free things.
Right.
So that's, a payoff.
Yeah, it's incentive.
Yeah. But then you get high school sports that you have to pay to play, and you also have to pay for equipment and do fundraisers and yada yada. And then in some of the sports you work just as hard as you would in college.
Right.
So it's kind of a scam.
It really do be. But now think about this. How you get a scholarship for college is through high school athletics, right?
Yeah, but that's just part of the pyramid scheme, you know? You have to start out at the bottom level.
College is a pyramid scheme.
Well, not college.
Jimmy Skidmore.
No.
That's going on a shirt.
No,
That's going on a shirt.
I never said that. I'm going to college. It's just.
Which you believe is a pyramid scheme.
No, I said high school sports is the bottom rung of a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
But I do also think college football is a pyramid scheme. Because at the same scheme. I'm sorry, how would you pronounce it?
Scheme.
Scheme? Where's the H?
Scheme. There is an H.
Scheme and scheme. Where's the H in eam?
After the C.
Scheme.
After the C.
Scheme. The scheme. Alright. No, whatever. We're off topic already. The point of this is that college football.
Piss off.
Thank you, Joey. Scheme. That's gonna be backwards, I think.
Who cares?
Okay.
We're not backwards. Why would we be?
But
backwards?
basically, we are backwards.
No, we're not. I don't think so.
We
Are
might be.
backwards.
But
Why?
basically, we're looking specifically at football here, and that's just because we both played football.
Yeah.
I will say, as a general rule of thumb, I think that sports get less fun the further on you go. What was
Bro, I
that?
swear I just saw something.
All right, cool.
So
what was that you saw?
I don't know. I thought I saw a person.
Horrifying.
Kind of scared.
Did Dante end up actually showing up? Is
I
he
don't
hiding?
know. If Dante comes up right there, that'd be cool. But he's at not here.
That's facts.
Yeah, that really do be facts. So I feel like high school sports are probably the easiest ones to rig. Not rig, so listen to this. Coaches will have a favorite.
Okay.
And then they will coach the favorite more than they will the others.
Okay.
And I feel like that happens more in high school than it does in college and in the professional aspect of athletics.
Yeah.
And I think that's obvious because you want those good kids to get better.
Yeah.
But then you gotta think about the other kids that aren't as good, and you want them to at least be good.
Yeah.
But everyone in college, they're good.
Well, what I think I agree with you here is, you can do that in high school because nothing's at stake.
Right.
But in college or professional, you're giving a bunch of money to people. So if you're I like this guy more.
Yeah.
And his stats don't match up to that, you're gonna be getting yelled at by
it's
whoever. Whereas in high school, it's
yeah. High school's way easier to get away with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think you have to be very dedicated to the sport.
Yeah.
Which. Why do you not have shoes on?
This is my house. I'm not gonna wear shoes in my house. Why are you wearing shoes in my house?
Why are you putting your feet on my shoes?
Why are you wearing shoes?
We'll call it a draw. But stop. We're not playing footsie on podcast. We have video now.
No, that's the point.
Uh,
Gags.
but whoa. But basically, yeah, high school sports. You win some, you lose some with them. You know,
Right.
it depends on how high intensity of a sport it is.
Of course.
If you're talking like badminton, you know, the high school badminton team.
If your high school has badminton,
You have too much money.
too much money.
You have too
You're
much
probably
money.
a private school.
More like beyond.
More than like
You're
that.
homeschooled. If you have a badminton team, you're homeschooled.
Or just like in a really rich state.
Name a rich state.
Texas.
Oil. But no, I just but like you get to sports like football where everyone kind of goes in expecting to like.
Yeah. And like it happens a lot in football. Definitely. Like what I was saying earlier about the like showing favoritism.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that a coach likes a kid more than other kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you feel sad for the other kids, but when you're a super athlete like me,
Yeah.
super athlete.
Super duper.
I'm
athlete.
a super athlete.
You're one of those things.
I'm at least an athlete.
I am at least a man who can be an athlete.
I can at least attempt to be an athlete.
Yeah, but no, high school sports. I think that especially like your freshman year, do one. This is just for any of our younger audience, which
Oh,
we
yeah.
shouldn't have. Don't watch this show.
Yeah,
Unless
if you're
in high
under
school.
the age of 5, don't watch.
There-
No children should be watching this.
None.
None.
16 and older only.
Yeah, or at least maybe 15-year-olds.
Like 13. Listen,
Yeah,
but if you're
if
just
you're-
going into high school, if you're still watching anyway, freshman year, play a sport, because people will get to know who you are, and you
Yeah,
won't get
it's a
bullied.
great way to socialize and
Speaking of bullying,
let's talk
let's
about
talk
that.
about that.
Wait, no, that's trademark. I think that's trademarked by Good Mythical Morning.
Good Mythical Morning. Thank you to Good Mythical Morning for
For that.
sponsoring the show.
Thank you,
To Rhett and Link.
thank you, Good Mythical Morning, for buying our entire company and allowing us to
Exist.
Exist.
But
At Smosh.
no, I think bullying is a weird thing in high school these days.
Yeah, it's definitely different from the stereotypical shit that people went through, like
Yeah.
even 10 years ago.
Because if you're talking like, I've always hated the physical policy.
Yeah.
Like a homie punches you, and you just got punched,
You're not allowed to punch him back.
and you're not allowed to punch him back, and
Right.
you get in just as much trouble as he did. But if
It's-
I'm just sitting here doing
You
my
get
math
in
homework,
just as much trouble
Yeah.
for not even doing
doing
anything.
so I'm just sitting here doing my math homework, and some dude come up behind me, clock me in the back of the head. So I turn around and I give him one in the stomach, and they're like,
When did this happen?
"No, this didn't. I'm just hypothetical situation here."
Jimmy, when did you fight a kid?
What?
When did you fight somebody?
I didn't.
Jimmy,
I didn't.
come on.
I I did not.
Prove it.
Nope.
Asshole.
But yeah, no. That just kind of goes back to I think the public school system is very flawed. I'll put it this way: I have taken what will now be about 12 years of English classes, and of 12 years of English
I
classes,
still don't fully understand the whole goddamn thing.
I think I have enjoyed one English class, maybe, and this is a very, very hesitant maybe 2 English classes, because up until about 4th grade,
Yeah.
you're learning English,
Right.
which is fair. Fourth or fifth, you're like, okay, this is how you use the English language, and as soon as 6th grade hits, it's like, here is a critical analysis of the Marxist perspective, and it's like,
And that doesn't typically happen until someone's senior year. Jimmy's just being over exaggeratory.
essentially, what I'm trying to state here is that English classes, especially in the public school system, focus too much on cultural things and not enough on the English language. Because, let me put it this way, I run into a lot of dudes and women that absolutely have no idea how spelling or like grammar
Or how to.
or how to speak works. So as a general rule of thumb, I think English classes.
Jimmy is dumb retarded.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can say that word on the air.
I didn't sign that agreement.
Somebody has dropped a spoon upstairs.
Possibly a pen.
Or fork. But no, I think English classes are garbage. I think that they need to be reworked in the public school system.
I bet private schools do it right.
Maybe, because the whole thing is just a narrative. All English classes are a narrative after 5th grade.
Hey, would you like to learn the same thing you learned in middle school?
But we're
like
gonna
this time in
reinforce
high
it.
school?
And it's always got to be something that's like.
Oh, you already learned archetypes? I don't fucking care.
And then it wouldn't be so bad if it was just like, this is what an archetype is, because that's necessary for English in reading a story. But it's more like,
And
here's
writing
this
stories as
archetype.
well.
Yeah, here's this archetype. Here's why it's garbage, and you should hate that it ever existed. And you'll be like, yeah, but it makes a good story. And they'll be like, yeah, well, that story is offensive.
Who cares?
And it's like, I just liked the story. I think that of all of the high school classes, if I could cut one completely from curriculum and just rewrite the whole thing, which some people wouldn't even be able to rewrite it because of how it is, it would be English.
Oh yeah, definitely English.
I also am not a very big fan of, like, math classes.
I'm not a fan of math classes either, because, like, I find them pointless until it's, like, relating to something that you want to do. But even then, a lot of people don't do things that involve such, like, when the fuck am I going to use the Pythagorean theorem?
Well, you've never calculated the sides of a triangle.
I've legitimately only had to use math once, and that was at one of the jobs that I've had, where I had to find out how many of these things could. So we were building shelves, all right, and they were these metal shelves.
Okay.
So like the shelves were set up so that there was the beams that would support the the actual shelf part of the shelf. You know, like it was like. Well, anyways, I had to figure out how many of these could exactly fit into these segments that were given by the post, right?
Yeah.
So then, this is the only time I've ever had to use math whatsoever. So I took the area of that, and then I took the area of each of the segments that you would put into the posts, and I mean, I did a pretty damn good job, but that's the only time I've ever used math outside of high school.
I mean, I understand that math is necessary for, like, critical thinking skills.
Yeah, but so is, like, social studies, and social studies is always a way better class. Honestly, every social study teacher that I've ever had has been awesome. Like, I don't think I've ever had a single bad social studies teacher.
I've had a couple that I've disagreed with on things, but
Well,
I
you're
still
gonna have
like
some
them
that you
as,
disagree with,
as
but
a teacher.
yeah, like I don't think. And obviously, there's people who struggle with social studies because that's not how they operate. But still, like, there's so many, like, I can't think of one bad social studies teacher that I've ever had.
I really can't either. I can think of a couple bad math teachers.
Oh yeah, because like, if for math, it's like,
It's too fast.
yeah, it is too fast. So another thing about the school system is like the pace at which people are supposed to learn. It's different for everybody, and you just can't force one thing after another on someone, you know? It's just like, oh, hey, you haven't fully understood this concept yet, so here's a whole new lesson, so you can totally forget about this shit that you're struggling with until the end of the year for the big fucking test.
It's a lot of. I think that the biggest problem by far is the fact that it's just it's memorizing it and then forgetting it.
Yes.
You're not learning anything. Science classes are really hit or miss.
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of times it would alternate years as like this was a good year, this was a bad year, this was a good
Same
year,
here
that was a
because
bad
we've
year.
had the same teachers and classes throughout high school.
And
I can agree with that.
I'll say another big problem in the school system is like the teachers union.
The teachers union.
Yeah, and I'll elaborate on that.
Yeah, please do.
The problem is once you reach your like.
We don't not support teachers. We love teachers.
We also don't support union. I mean, don't not support unions.
We're very neutral here at Joe Hawk TV.
Yes. But the thing with teachers unions is, you'll get a teacher and they've been, well, let's say they've been there like 7 or 8 years.
Right.
They've really established themselves. And then all of a sudden they decide I'm going to drop off on quality of teaching completely because I don't care anymore.
Right.
And then they get complaints that it's like, hey, this teacher's underperforming. We need to get him out. And the union will be like, well, you can't fire him.
Have you ever watched AP Bio?
Yeah.
Do you remember the episode that involved the teachers union and how it basically prevented Glenn Howerton's character to not get fired?
I don't remember that episode.
You don't remember that episode? Yeah, he did. He broke the school sign, and he crashed his car into it.
Yo.
And because the teachers union prevented him from getting fired because the principal was so scared of the teachers union.
And that's kind of the problem with the teachers union that I have. Is because I'll be honest, teacher is not a good paying job, and I understand that teachers are heavily underpaid.
Yeah.
But the problem is that some teachers are shit. Just god awful.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
You wanted to get into education. You chose this.
You did this.
You did this to yourself.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason that I like. I shouldn't say that I like that it's low paying, but that the fact that it's not like $150,000
yeah, because then
job.
everyone would want to be a teacher.
Because then everyone would want to be a teacher, and you would just get
and then we
guys
would have
that are
a
like
surplus of teachers. Everyone
Yeah.
in America could be homeschooled at that
Yeah.
point by a private teacher.
You would get people that would just be like, well, I can make a lot of money, and I can just give these kids a worksheet.
Right.
But the problem is you get people that actually chose to dedicate their lives to this. And then
they're
still
like,
just be
I
going,
hate children.
I'm going to give them the worksheet. I hate you guys. Leave me alone. And this is, obviously rare circumstances. Don't get offended by this episode, and don't expel us for this episode. All right, we're just...
I dare you.
No, I don't.
I double dog dare you.
This is more of a suggestion episode because there's only 2 of us. So it's kind of a after hours.
Viva la revolution.
We'll call it podcast after hours.
Viva la revolution.
I don't know if that is.
Could you put that back on?
It's so much smaller without it.
Yeah, and it looks dumb.
But
Viva la revolution.
but yeah, I mean, I think that the best school, like block of school to be in, is
in the suburbs.
Not where I was going. I meant like K through 5, 6 through 8.
In the
8
suburbs.
Through 9 through. I also, although I
don't even get me started on those urban schools.
Oh.
Not that there's anything wrong with
Yeah,
it.
it's just
they're
underfunded.
heavily underfunded, and
Underfunded.
it causes a lot of problems
Yeah.
within the city.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I think is kind of a garbage subject in schools?
What?
I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. And I deserve it. But art.
You dumb motherfucker.
Now listen, I understand like an art class, maybe 2 art classes. Well, you got like 5 different art classes.
Well, okay, so obviously this is my argument for art classes here.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a lot of artistic expressions, You can express your artistic ways through photo, through
Okay.
video, through sculpture, through
Okay.
painting, through drawing. There's a lot of mediums that you can use.
So
for
those are
art.
some of those classes, right? Then you've also got like clay working, and you've got.
Yeah, they're all expressions of art.
Now I enjoyed those classes, but then at the same time you've got all of those, but then if I want to take a foreign language class, I either get Spanish or Chinese.
Yeah, that is kind of.
Again, this is probably not accurate to your specific school.
But this is our school.
This is our school.
We're still in high school in 2020.
And the thing is, like, it might be similar to your school, and this is kind of just
I
an
bet for other
overview.
schools it's like Spanish and like French, or like probably most schools only offer 2. Not even two. Some only offer one.
But you know what?
probably.
You know what gets us around it, especially here,
What?
is that we have the VHS classes, and you can
Yes,
take any
yeah.
language you want on VHS.
Right.
But have you ever tried to use like Duolingo to learn a language, where you don't
Yeah.
actually have like a teacher or anything?
Yeah, sort of.
It's like-
it's awkward because it's like how do I know if I'm saying
Yeah,
it right?
and then it's like say it into the mic, and I'll be like, "Quieres," and it'll just be like good, and I'll be like, "Yeah, but how good? Like, was it
Bueno.
passing good, or was it like
Was it like man?
accurate? Was it just like you passed, or was it like that is how it would sound?" And I think a lot because the big problem in VHS classes are people just won't do their work, and then they'll fail them
Yeah.
because like they don't have a teacher there to be like, "Yo, can you like do your work?"
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna
and at our
fail
school,
you.
it's the librarian, but she's also busy doing other things with other
Like
students.
the
that-
like running the
like
library.
running the library.
So, I mean, it's not fair to her,
Yeah.
and it's not really fair to the kids either, because, well, I mean, they knew what they were getting into.
Yeah.
But I think virtual high school is a huge... I don't like online classes because of how easily you could just cheat them.
yeah.
If I just took, like...
you just Google it.
Yeah, if I just took VHS history online, and even if it's like, you can't leave this page, okay, get my phone out, look it up.
Yeah.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Now
That's
at
the
other
right
schools,
answer.
it's probably much more monitored. Like they probably
Yeah.
do have like some sort of like
VHS monitor.
monitored.
But even then, it's still going to be 100 times easier to cheat than a regular classroom.
Right.
Because, you know, a regular classroom, sure, there's a monitor that's just there to make sure you don't,
Yeah.
like, cheat. But
yeah, for sure.
if everybody has the same test, because VHS is not individualized, it's like the same test, they might randomize the questions. But I just don't... I just don't like that online stuff.
Yeah. So so speaking about online, let's talk about homeschooling. Just briefly, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I know some people that are homeschooled because, basically, so how I'd like to put it is, they don't care.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
So, the people that I know that are homeschooled just don't care about school. Like, they would rather just do it. So, I saw this thing about homeschooling. It only takes like a couple hours out of your day, and it's like super easy.
Yeah.
And like I've noticed a lot of people in high school have been switching over to homeschooling because it's easier and they just don't care.
Right.
And like, there's one person I know that's in homeschool and he's failing it because he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess my thing with like homeschooling is I don't think you should be able to get a high school diploma that way. Unless it's extraneous, you know, like necessary. Yeah. If you've got like, you know, kids got whatever really bad like leukemia,
I think
can't be around people.
I think
then
you should get a GED.
Yeah,
and
but
not a high school diploma.
Because if you're let's just say you're a regular, you know, high school student, nothing like wrong with you, nothing wrong in the family, yada yada, and you just decide I'm going to do homeschooling.
Yeah, and it's just like,
because I know a lot of them, a lot of it, especially like around the country, is that the political beliefs that are preached in school, and parents don't want their kids exposed to that. Which again,
heaven forbid they listen to another person's opinion.
Well, and I can kind of still understand where they're coming from out of that.
Yeah, because
it's very one-sided.
Who fucking cares?
Because the whole point of it is brainwash you for the workforce. But the problem is, if you send them to homeschool and you don't brainwash them there, then they can't go to the workforce because they never got that brainwashing. So in a horrific way, if you're not brainwashed,
you're actually ruining yourself.
You're ruining yourself. Yeah, but that's more of a society issue, and this isn't a society
we're talking
podcast.
about school, but school does leave a lot of issues in the society.
A lot of them, yeah. I'll tell you one thing that I don't like in schools.
Dress codes.
No, I like dress codes.
We should be able to wear thongs and pasties as we please.
I already do. I just put clothes over them.
And that's why you're a coward.
I'll tell you what I don't like in schools.
Hey, for the last day of school,
Jorts.
jorts? and tank tops.
I'll do it.
Let's see how many people we can get to do the exact same thing too.
Will you take the
Will
jorts
you
and tank
take-
top challenge
Will you take the Joe Hawk challenge and wear jorts and a tank top to school
on the last day
on the last day for seniors?
of your senior year? Don't do it if you're like a junior. It might
Because then
might-
we'll call you a weirdo.
because you have to come back. And
Yeah,
everyone will be like, ew.
Ugh.
But
Ooh, I saw his ass.
I hate when they put like a resource officer or a cop in a school. I really don't like it.
You got a problem with Douglas?
No. It's not the officer. It's not their fault. It's the premise. I don't like the premise that I have to feel like I'm walking into like a military guarded area where there's, the dude with the gun walking around just in case.
Just in case.
It's like I just don't, it doesn't make me feel safer.
Yeah, and I've got my own opinions about the police.
Joey.
I'm not going to say them on podcast because I don't want backlash with only like 100 viewers.
People. Well, and the thing is, I understand it because, we both live out in the country, and like not long ago, there was an incident at my house with a fella and
Please tell us about it.
Basically, I live in a rivery area with a lot of deer, and a fella,
Yeah.
there was a deer coming.
Yeah.
He had to swerve to avoid it, and
Of course, yeah.
he crashed in doing so, and he crashed, in my yard,
In his yard.
and I went down to check to make sure he was all right, and it was loud. So the
Of
neighbors
course,
called
I mean,
the
he
cops.
crashed his car.
Yeah, it was very loud. The one neighbor, he comes down with his flashlight, looks around, and then goes back in and calls the cops. And we're out here with this dude for like 45 minutes, and then the cops show up. And it's like,
You don't live that far out of town.
I know, I don't live that far out of town at all. Well, I looked into it, and the cops, because we got a state highway patrolman.
Ooh.
Because we live where I'm at, I'm like
fancy.
4 minutes out of town.
Yeah.
Like outside of the city limits, so they won't send the cops out there
Yeah.
because I don't think we pay taxes for those cops.
We don't pay
So
taxes.
we don't pay taxes for those cops.
We just don't pay taxes.
So then they won't come. So then the sheriff should come, but he didn't. And then we
That
got a state highway.
Fucking rat.
We got a state highway patrolman, and it's like we're not on the highway, so I guess it's just
But
kind of
it is in the state.
yeah. So that's my advocacy for the Second Amendment.
What?
Yeah.
How is that advocacy for the Second Amendment? You didn't
Because
explain gun rights at all.
If you live out of town a little bit and you call in and say, "Help! A man has broken into my home and may be trying to kill me," it could take up to 45 minutes for there to be any response.
Oh, okay. Thank you for elaborating.
But again, that's just I don't like cops in schools. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't do anything wrong that
Yeah.
would require me to feel uncomfortable. I just don't like it.
I personally don't mind it, but I don't like police.
Joey.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to go into any more facts.
Okay. Divided opinions on this topic. I do not dislike police. I don't love police. But I'm not against them. I understand their necessity. Other than that though, I mean school it just
You know, when I was 11,
okay, I'll tell you.
I turned 13 because, if I may.
No, don't do it.
Fuck 12.
God.
We're not restarting either. We're going with this. You were saying?
You know what makes me the absolute angriest?
The druggies at our school?
That and the absolute disrespect from like teacher to student if I've been in the building for about 7 seconds and my hat is still on my head. It is 24 degrees outside. My little ears are cold.
Oh,
And
you
so-
got little ears?
My little ears are cold.
You got little ears?
My,
Here, I'm
my
just
little,
gonna show
ear-
mine
my
real
little
quick.
ears.
Your little ear?
It's cold, so I got a like a little stocking cap on.
Yeah.
It's 7 in the morning, and I've just walked in this building, still foggy because I've only been awake for like 15
Did
minutes.
this happen to you this morning? Because you sound pretty upset about it.
This happens to me many mornings. I walk into the building, and I'm like, okay, from where I walk in, it's a straight shot to the choir room, and then I go to the right. So I'm thinking I'll walk to the choir room, turn right, take all my stuff off, get my hat away, and I will get about 4 steps past the entrance. And like some teachers be hat off. Can I get like a please or like a
Damn it! I'm just trying to show my gang what's
I'm
up.
like what why were you so offended by my hat? It's 7 in the morning.
Because it shows gang affiliation.
It's
okay?
Under Armour. It's an Under Armour hat. Like
it's gang affiliated.
I could understand if it was like
A bandana.
that, or if it was like between like 3rd and 4th period where I hadn't had to go outside for any reason.
Yeah.
So like there's no reason to have a hat on. But it's 7 in the morning. I just came in because it's raining out and it's cold. And the first thing you say to me is not, "Oh, good morning, valued student."
Take that fucking hat off.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, why? Why you gotta be like that? I'm a grown man now. I'm 18. You can address me. You can be like,
Big Boy's 18.
you can be like, hey.
Hey. Okay.
But like, you could at least be like, hey, good morning. Please take your hat off, cause like it's still like intrusive to do that, but like it's the rule. But to just be like, hat off. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I personally offended your bloodline because I still have my Under Armour cap on.
My bad, little bitch boy.
It's like some of the things like that, and I think that I don't know if that's an enforcement issue, like they're told they have to be that strict, or if it's just like again with what we said earlier with like certain teachers that just hate everybody.
And also I want to step back into that favoritism thing real quick about teachers.
Yeah.
Teachers also definitely show favoritism, but they don't say they do.
Oh, some of them
It's
are
like
so blatant.
it's like parents saying, "Oh, I don't have a favorite child,"
When
while
it's
they're
clearly
giving
the
you
oldest.
a fucking prime rib filet mignon, awesome steak dinner, and then your siblings get chicken tenders. Even though
What do you have against chicken tenders?
hold on, I was about to say I ain't got anything against chicken tenders. It's just like comparing a lot to something that's cheap.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
understand. But yeah, I teacher favoritism is a huge problem.
Yeah, because they'll focus on that student, and it's always the good students, the ones that always like they already know the material, but they just want to know more about it. And like then there's the students struggling in the back, and they're like,
Well, I've gotten screwed out of like an actual good letter grade and given an F.
I don't get it. I wasn't done with the gag.
I'm sorry, I forgot that we were playing the long game on that one. But like I've had it before where I go up to start a presentation.
Right? Oh, I love presenting in school.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
best.
go up to start a presentation, and me and the other guy are up there. There's 3 of us.
Okay.
And we're getting ready to start, and the other person has like 2 lines, and then we get to just go from there. And they forgot them, and they got all like weepy and yada yada. And she's like, okay, just go sit down. And they sat down, and I'm up there with the other guy like, can we give the presentation then? He's like, no, sit down. And then we both failed it. And they gave the other person that was like all weepy like a C+. And it's like,
I forgot my lines.
so I just, but that, that also, that teacher also fits into the category of like hates kids and needs to leave, like that type. So I think all in all, the 2 biggest problems that I will attribute with high schools are
Favoritism?
no, I'm going to go the invincibility of teachers due to the teachers union. Because that's a big one.
Then why do we lose so many English teachers?
Because the union can't keep them here. Because that's my second least favorite topic, is English. English classes are maybe my number 1 biggest issue with high schools. And this isn't just like, oh, he must be getting really bad grades in English.
And sees this.
No. And it's not always the teachers. A lot of the time it's the curriculum that they have to teach.
Yeah.
But the problem is every human being has an opinion, and they will give it any chance they have. And when you're a teacher,
And when a teacher here's a student attempt to give their opinion on a subject. It's automatically wrong.
Or rather, it can't automatically be wrong, because then it's like that you can just be like, oh, well, this teacher is clearly just biased, and everyone will say that.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll take your opinion and they'll humor it for a second, and then they'll completely just do their best to show every reason why it's awful. So
Who cares? She doesn't work at the school.
I don't know. Honestly, I had her for AP Lit, and that class was way better. So I really think it's curriculum.
It might be.
So I think that Common Core is bad. Common Core and Invincible Teachers.
All right. So I could agree with you on that, but I'm just going to say mine real quick, and then we'll finish this up. My two least favorite things about the school system is definitely favoritism in the classroom and in sports, even though I'm pretty good at being the favorite. But hold on, don't. I'm still talking.
Okay.
And my second least favorite thing would probably. Oh, we didn't even talk about this. School lunches.
Oh, how much time? Oh, we got time for school lunches.
Yeah, let's just talk about how awful they are real quick.
So school lunches used to be good.
Okay, let's not.
No.
Yeah, but no,
I
even
remember.
Then, my dad, who was in high school a while before we were, said that he did not enjoy school lunches, and he would pack his lunch and stuff. Yeah, and he was born in 81, and he graduated when he was 18 in whatever year. And
so 81 plus 10, that'd be 91, plus 8 would be 99.
That's cool.
That's why I don't hate math classes.
That's why I hate math classes. I can't think like that.
But,
I can't think logically.
Yeah, school lunches, I used to enjoy them not because of what was given, but the extras. I used to be able to buy a cereal bar.
Extras?
Yeah, extra
I never
things.
had extras.
There was
Yet
things
then
that-
again, I did grow up slightly impoverished.
Yeah, well, I packed most of the time.
I picked most of the time.
But on pizza days,
Oh yeah, on pizza day,
Homie
when
would-
everyone got school lunch,
and it was good. They should serve pizza
it
every
was
day.
good. Except the thing is, the pizza's not healthy.
Oh,
You can't eat pizza every day.
Why?
It's
What do we do now? What do we do now in high school with open lunches?
we don't eat pizza every day.
I do.
You do, and that's why you're going to die at the age of 40 from a heart attack. Would you quit that?
Whoops. Sorry, we had a bit of an upset moment there.
No, it's just you're a fucking Neanderthal.
Well, according to my ancestry DNA test, I did have 91% higher Neanderthal DNA than...
All right, since we don't care about Jimmy, that's all the time we have on podcast. I'm your host, Joey Simcoe.
And I'm your co-host, Jimmy Skidmore. Thanks for tuning in.
Tune in next week.